Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Lodhi Kaneez Fatema. Niyaz Ahmed, Head of the Department Political Science in J.A.T Arts Science and Commerce College. You all are welcome in this video lecture entitled Forest Rights Act 2006 Part 2. Protection against eviction, diversion of forest land and forced relocation. Section 4 of the Act is very specific and provides that no member of a forest dwelling scheduled tribes or other traditional forest dweller shall be evicted or removed from the forest land under this occupation till the recognition and verification procedure is complete. The clause is of an absolute nature and exclude all possibility of eviction of forest dwelling scheduled tribes or other traditional forest dwellers without settlement of their forest right, as this section opens with the word save as otherwise provided. The rationale behind this protective clause against eviction is to ensure that in no case of forest dweller should be evicted without recognition of his right, as the same entitle him to a due compensation in case of eventually of displacement, in case where even after recognition of rights a forest area is to be declared as inviolated for wildlife conservation or diverted for any other purpose. In case any evictions of forest dwelling scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers have taken place without settlement of their rights due to such major diversion of forest land under the Forest Act 1980, the district level committees may be advised to bring such cases of eviction, if any, to the notice of the state level monitoring committees for appropriate actions against violation of the provision contained in the Act. The Act envisages the recognition of and vesting of forest right in forest dwelling schedules, tribes and other traditional forest dwellers over all forest land, including national park and sanctuaries. No exercise for modification of the right of the forest dwellers of their resettlement from the national park and sanctuaries can be undertaken unless their rights have been recognized and vested under the Act. No eviction and resettlement is permissible from the national park and sanctuaries till all the formalities relating to recognition and verification of their claim are completed. The state government may therefore ensure that the rights of the forest dwelling scheduled tribes and the other traditional forest dwellers residing in national parks and sanctuary are recognized first before any exercise for modification of their rights or their resettlement, if necessary, is undertaken, and no member of the forest dwelling scheduled tribes or other traditional forest dweller is evicted from such areas without the settlement of their rights and completion of all other action required under the Act. The state level monitoring committee should be mentor compliance of the provision of the Act, which recognize the right to in situ rehabilitation, including alternative land in case where the forest dwelling scheduled tribes and the other traditional forest dwellers have been illegally evicted or displaced from the forest land without receiving their legal entitlement to rehabilitation, and also of the provision of section of the Act which recognize their rights to land when they are displaced from their dwelling and cultivation without land compensation due to state development intervention. The Act lays out a procedure by which people can be resettled from area if it is found to be necessary for wildlife conservation. The first step is to show that relocation is scientifically necessary and no other alternative is available. This has to be done through a process of public consultation. The second step is that the local community must consent to resettlement. Finally, the resettlement must provide not only compensation but a secure livelihood. Duties of holder of forest right, Gram Sabha and village level institution: protect the wildlife, forest and biodiversity, ensure that adjoining catchments area, water sources and the other ecological sensitive area are adequate protected, ensure that the habitat of forest dwelling scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers is preserved from any form of destructive practices affecting their cultural and natural heritage, ensure that the decision taken by in the Gram Sabha to regulate access to community forest resources and stop any activity which adversely affect the wild animal, forest and the biodiversity are compiled with, where any authority or committee or officer or member of such authority or committee contravenes any provision of this Act or any rules made thereunder concerning recognition of forest right, it or they shall be deemed to be guilty of an offence under this Act and shall be liable to be proceeded against and punished with fine and which may extend to 1000 rupees. Provided that nothing contained in this subsection shall render any member of the authority or committee or head of the department or any person referred to in this section liable to any punishment if he proves that the offence was committed without his knowledge or that he had exercised all due to prevent commission of such offence. The Ministry of Central Government dealing with tribal affairs or any officer or authority authorized by central government in this behalf shall be nodal agency for the implementation of the provision of this Act. Possible solutions: resettlement if the forest dwellers or tribes are evicted from their places, alternatives and land and cash compensation should be given. In some documented cases such as in the Western Ghats, alternative land and cash compensation convince tribal to move out of core area. One example is that of the Naga Rahul National Park, where outcome has been good for both people and wildlife, as evidenced by the recovery of tiger destiny over 3 decades. State government need to pursue such programs in human and vigorous fashions. Thank you very much for listening this video.